Hi, Mr. Devlin here. Today we're going to be talking about the Harlem Helfighters, the black soldiers in World War One. During World War One, the 369th Infantry from Harlem, an all-black military unit, acquired the name the Harlem Helfighters. They were not only fierce, but they showed great stamina, proving their value in measurable ways. They served in continuous combat for longer than any other American unit. They fought the longest on the front during the Champagne-Marne offensive, and they were the first Allied unit to cross the River Rhine during the Allied offence. The story of the 369th is two-pronged, a story of character and heroism overseas that was greeted by continued discrimination at home. So how did the story of the Hellfighters begin? Well, this is how. When the United States declared war on Germany on April 6, 1917, only 4 regiments in the regular army were open to African Americans, and those units were restricted in their duties. They could provide natural body labour necessary for the war effort, but they were not considered fit for combat. Because of the number of African Americans who signed up or were drafted, some of the National Guard units that accepted blacks were then conscripted to be on loan to the US Army. This is how the 369th was formed. The unit began as the 15th New York National Guard before they were absorbed into the Army as the 369th Infantry. All military units had to go through special training prior to going overseas, and the 369th was sent to Spartanburg, South Carolina. Black men wearing the American military uniform inflamed the Southerners. The fear of assault by town residents was over-present for the black troops, and if members of the 369th were on leave and in town, locals pushed them off the sidewalks. Yet many of the African Americans who enlisted felt that the war service was an opportunity to prove themselves. If they showed themselves as good Americans, would that help reduce discrimination at home? The 369th Infantry Regiment arrived in France on January 1st, 1918. For the first 3 months they were assigned to do manual labour, primarily unloading ships and digging latrines, while their colonel argued that they should be allowed in combat. William Haywood, a prominent white New York attorney who enlisted to join in the fight, felt strongly that the men should be allowed to be full participants. Haywood eventually got his way, but there was a twist, because the 369th soldiers were black. They were not permitted to fight alongside American troops. The French were in desperate need of replacement units, so the men of the 369th Infantry Regiment were assigned to fight for the Allies, but under French command. They continued to wear the US Army uniform though, but in integrating them in the French 161st Division, they were assigned the steel Adrian helmets, brown leather belts and pouches worn by the French. They were also given French weaponry so that the supply chain of ammunition would be smooth. In the hierarchy of order taking, they were totally under French control. Prior to the 369th assignment to work directly under the French, General Pershing issued a warning to the French military. The 369th unit was unaware of Pershing's actions until much later. Pershing sent out a pamphlet entitled Secret Information Concerning the Black American Troops. The directive essentially warns the French that if they worked too closely or too well with members of the 369th, then the Americans would hold it against them. The increasing number of Negroes in the United States, about 15 million, would create for the white race in the Republic a menace of degeneracy, were it not that an impassable gulf had been made between them. Later the booklet states, although a citizen of the United States, the black man is regarded by the white American as an inferior being. While Pershing's booklet was being read and more or less ignored by the French, who were used to fighting alongside colonists of other colours from other countries, the men of the 369th were out dedicating themselves to doing their part to win the war. They became known for not only their fearsome fighting, but they also proved their endurance. They fought in the trenches for 191 days, longer than any other American unit. None of their soldiers were ever captured, though it did eventually lose about half the regiment, about 1,500 losses, towards the end of the war. Ultimately, their war records showed a unit that consistently went above and beyond to fight for the Allies. After the war, the French army acknowledged their fine work. The regiment was awarded the Croix de Guerre, the highest honour given by the French. There were also 171 individual medals awarded to the members of the 369th. The unit also had another claim to fame. They were known for the music. The 369th Regiment Marching Band was commanded by James Reese Europe, one of the best known jazz band leaders in the US. He and the military band are said to have introduced jazz to the Allies. The 369th were the first full regiment to return to the United States, so they were the first to be honoured by a parade. The festivities began on the morning of February the 17th, 1919. The Harlem Helfighters paraded up 5th Avenue from 23rd Street to 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. The schools in Harlem were dismissed for the day, so the students could be on hand to welcome the soldiers back home. At the parade's conclusion, the men, followed by family and friends, loaded up subway car after subway car to travel to the 34th Street Armory, where the celebrations continued. But this parade was the only one of which they were included. When a victory parade was held in later months for the entire military, the Harlem Helfighters were not permitted to participate. Gladly, things have changed since World War I, and we don't have this type or as much discrimination in the world, well, especially in the armed forces anyway. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and we'll get back to you in the next video. Not sure what it's going to be, but any suggestions would be much appreciated if you could put them in the comments below. We'll try and get on to that. Anyway, this is Mr. Devlin signing off.
Yeah.